We are approaching day 50 of lockdown in Toronto. I still haven't seen my housemate in weeks, and there is construction going on right behind me. So what better time than now to film the April check-in for my low buy year. I didn't actually buy anything during the month of April, even though I desperately wanted a couple of things, and even though the VIB Rouge sale was happening. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. But before I do that, y'all don't know this, but the video that I uploaded like a week and a half ago, I actually had over 2 hours of footage before I edited that down. And because I was determined to edit it down to something under 30 minutes, and I knew that the April check-in would be coming up as well, and I didn't really buy anything, I decided to cut out 2 entire sections of that video to save time. Those sections were 1, why I'm putting myself on an informal lip product no-buy for the next 4 months, and 2, a financial breakdown of the cost of the 4 different products that I bought during February and March, because I do want to keep track during Project 2020 as I slowly acquire 20 things over the course of this year of how much things are costing me, how much I'm spending, etc., etc. Those are the 3 main points to cover in the video today, so without any further ado, let's get it. Alrighty lads, so I'm going to leave timestamps for each of the 3 different sections below, just in case people want to skip certain things or move around. So the first thing I want to talk about, because I guess it's like the most boring thing and I just kind of want to get it out of the way, is the financial breakdown of everything that I've bought so far in the year 2020. So I have here on my laptop where I've been keeping track of all of the products, the month when I bought them, and how much I paid. I talked about all of my feelings and motivations and all of that jazz about the stuff that I bought in my last check-in, which I'm going to link up in the cards if you're interested, because here all I'm going to do is very quickly run through these and tell you how much they cost and then give you a total. So the first buffoonish decision I made after my no-buy year ended was to buy the VDL Lumilayer Primer Fresh. I bought that in February, and according to the receipt, it should have been $38.42, but I had 1,032 points accumulated at the face shop, which gave me $10.32 off. So in the end, I ended up paying $28.10. This is all in Canadian, by the way, and because I live in Toronto, I'm accounting for the 13% sales tax that we have. The next 2 things that I bought together were also in February, and they were the MAC Pony Park Collection Lip Mousse in My Better Half. That's what I'm wearing on my lips today. And because that was a product that was being discontinued, it cost $15 and I ended up paying $16.95 for it. At the same time, I also bought the MAC Satin lipstick in Verve, my first non-regretful purchase of Project 2020. The retail price of that lipstick is $24, and with 13% sales tax, it should have been $27.12. However, MAC was having a 25% off sale on the day that I went into the store, and so I ended up paying $20.34. The 4th and final purchase I have made during Project 2020 happened in the month of March. It was my biggest ticket item, you'll see why I put it in quotes, to date, and it was the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina palette. Now the palette was on sale for $42 at Sephora, so the total cost once you account for tax was $47.26, which makes it, in terms of pure cost, the most expensive item. However, it was not the item that I paid the most for out of my own bank account, because I had a Sephora gift card containing $33.45. I don't remember what I had that gift card from. I think it was from when I returned something like last year or the year before that. But either way, I ended up using the $33.45 gift card, and in the end, I paid $14.01 out of my bank account for the Jackie Aina ABH palette. So given that we are now 1/3 of the way into 2020, and I've used up 1/5 of all my allotted spots, here are my totals. The total money spent, if you include the gift card as actual money, is $112.65. If we exclude the gift card and we look at total money spent, like the actual amount of money taken out of my bank account to pay for stuff, it's $79.40. So those are my totals so far. I think it's worth mentioning that in addition to being a student, I do have a part-time job, or I did before this whole quarantine lockdown situation happened, and that's how I was able to like set money aside to spend on pretty frivolous things. Considering that I spent almost $80 for 4 products. That means on average, I'm spending about $20 per thing. We're gonna see as the year progresses and I get different things and my own economic or financial situation either gets better or worse, like what happens, but I will be keeping careful track, so we shall see. Okay, now that all of the money stuff is over, I want to talk about why it is I am pretty much putting myself on a lipstick ban for the next 4 months. So that's May, June, July, and August. And actually, although the original version of this, when I was filming my February and March check-in, was just a lipstick ban, now that I've given it a little bit more thought, I have decided to expand it to a full lip product ban. So lip glosses, liners, lipsticks, balms, all that kind of stuff. I'm just banning myself from buying any of them for the next 4 months. Now, here's why. We have to rewind a little bit to December 2019. So I'm part of a group chat with 7 other incredible people, and the group chat just celebrated its 2nd anniversary of existing. So over the last 2 years or so, we've become really good friends. We talk to each other like every single day. We've sent each other birthday presents. Some of us have met in person. And even now during lockdown, we have a standing Zoom call every Friday, even though we live in all different parts of the world. Now, in the early part of December 2019, our entire group chat got embroiled in watching this TV show about ancient Chinese magical gays. It's called the Untamed. It's available for free on YouTube with a bunch of subtitles in different languages. It's also available on Netflix. If you're bored during quarantine, check it out. We all really liked that show. We thought it was a lot of fun. And then one day into the group chat, somebody sent in a photo. The photo was of a lipstick collection by a Chinese brand called Sigalong, which had collaborated with the show and the set designers of that show to create a set of 5 different lipsticks to represent these 5 different settings and clans. I saw the promo picture that was sent into the chat, and of course I went feral. I love lipsticks. They are my favorite category of makeup, second only to cheek products, and even then it's by a very, very small margin. Y'all have been watching my videos for over a year now. Y'all know I love a good lip. So I went feral. I became determined that at the end of my no-buy year, if the lipsticks were still available, I wasn't necessarily going to get the full set, but there were definitely like 2 or 3 colors that I wanted real bad. I don't care if I have to figure out how to read Chinese characters to figure out how to get it from China to here, I'm gonna do it. But unfortunately, by the end of December, the lipsticks had sold out. So, you know, I got a little emo, but I was like, you know what? It wasn't meant to be, just forget about it. It's not the end of the world. Then in January was my birthday, and Ami, one of my friends from the group chat who lives all the way in Singapore, told me that she was going to mail me a box filled with goodies. A bunch of cute little presents to commemorate my 26th year. She didn't tell me what was in there, but given that we both like BTS a lot, I assumed it was just going to be a bunch of BTS related stuff, because the selection in Singapore for things to do with BTS, way better than whatever we can find here. She mailed out that box in the middle of January before the Chinese New Year. The box made its way to the Canadian border, and then it was promptly stuck in customs hell for over a month and a half. Oh my god, this construction noise, but whatever. On the last day of February, the box arrived at my doorstep, and when I opened it, I found, to my surprise, not just a whole bunch of really cute and cool BTS and BT21 goodies, but also the entire freaking box set of lipsticks. As it turns out, Ami and another one of my friends from the group chat, Mira, conspired against me to coordinate the purchase of these lipsticks all the way from China. I should mention Mira lives in the United States, and she ended up combining heads with somebody in Singapore to purchase a product from China and then get it to me in Canada. It was a lot of logistics and so much effort to get this to me here, and I was floored. I actually cried at the thought of how much effort that they had put into this for me. And beyond that, the present itself, this set of 5 lipsticks, is absolutely beautiful. The individual casings for the lipsticks are stunning. They're these 5 really vibrant, beautiful colors that are right up my alley. I have never been more excited about having received lipsticks from somebody than I was when this happened. But, and I think this is really significant, the package arrived pretty much the same week that I went to MAC and I bought the lipstick that I'm currently wearing right now and Verve, which meant that in the span of around 7 to 10 days, my lipstick collection expanded by 7. And that feels crazy to me. And I was just like really overwhelmed And the thing is, like, I don't want to just have a bunch of stuff for the sake of having stuff. I want to be able to like appreciate and use and get a lot of joy out of each individual item that I own. And quite frankly, we're like in May by the time you're watching this. And this is the first time I'm wearing the MAC Liquid Red lipstick that I bought at the end of February. These 5 beautiful lipsticks that I have, I've only tried out 3 of them one time each. Verve by MAC is the only lip product out of all 7 that I acquired in the last week of February that I've actually worn multiple times since I added it to my collection. I just feel like I can't let that stand. I feel like I need to get much better use out of all of these new acquisitions. I need to get a very good sense of what these lip products are like before I even think about adding something else to my collection. Especially because, I don't know if you guys remember this, but those of you who watched me do my lip declutter last summer and fall, y'all know that all of my lipsticks and glosses just barely fit into the Muji drawer that they have been stuffed into. If I actually want to genuinely integrate these 7 lipsticks into my collection, I have to go through and think very carefully about what has to go in order for me to let them have a place. Because what I'm not willing to do is expand my makeup storage. I think there is a limit to how much stuff I personally can own without getting overwhelmed, and my current existing makeup storage is that limit. One of the things that I want to do over the next like month or 2 is to actually wear every single lipstick I own. Rotate through my entire stash, forcing myself to wear a different lipstick every day, and then figuring out what the real winners are and what are the things that I don't ever use or that I have just for the sake of kind of having them. Because I want to be really, really careful with not just everything that I'm adding, but also everything that I'm decluttering. I want to make sure I'm not entering into the vicious circle of buying, then decluttering, then going out and buying some more and decluttering. One of you guys described it in the comments as declutter to reclutter, and that sent me because it was so accurate, so pithy, and so the thing that I am trying to make sure I do not do anymore. So I'm choosing not to buy any lip products from May all the way into August, and during that time I'm also going to make it a point to wear every single lipstick I own, so that when I sit down to finally do like a master lip product declutter, I actually know how I feel about every single thing. Okay, so now having wrapped up that little thing, let's get around to talking about the VIB sale, the stuff I wanted to buy, how I talked myself out of buying stuff. There were 2 items that during the Sephora VIB Rouge sale, I kept adding to my shopping cart and then talking myself out of. And those 2 items were 1, the Fenty Gloss Bomb in Hot Chocolate, and 2, the Huda Beauty Neon Orange Obsessions palette. Now let's discuss the Gloss Bomb first. Since the OG Fenty Gloss Bomb came out, I have been begging Rihanna to release darker versions of that gloss. Because Fenty Gloss Bomb on my pigmented lips is practically like a nude. So when I saw in the holiday collection that Rihanna had come out with Hot Chocolate, and then I later saw that she made it a permanent part of her collection, I was like, oh, I want it. I need it. Now, the Huda Beauty Orange Obsessions palette, I watched so many different reviews of the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions palettes, and everyone pretty much was unanimous in their agreement that the orange one was the best one across the board. It had amazing pigmentation, the colors were really vibrant. On top of that, that color scheme, right up my alley. Y'all have seen me wear pink and or orange or both on my eyes like time and time again. And I've been looking for a better, brighter, more pigmented yellow eyeshadow than the single yellow that I have in the ColourPop Yes Please palette. So just the way the palette looked, the overall color scheme, the pinks, oranges, and yellows, I was like, I want it. This is a perfect palette for me. But here's the deal. The fact that I wear a lot of those colors means that I own a lot of those colors. With the exception of the 2 sort of yellowy colors, all those other pinks and oranges, I have those. I either have actual eyeshadows in those exact colors, or I have blushes that I can use as eyeshadows. And so then when I thought about it, I'm like, is 37 Canadian dollars worth it to pay for essentially 2 yellow eyeshadows? One matte, one shimmery. Moreover, when I think about my makeup wish list, do you know what palette is still on there even though I created an entire anti-haul video for it last year? The Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. Everything about that palette, like the external packaging, the aesthetic, the color scheme inside of purple, yellow, orange, red, as well as the actual names, it's me. Kind of almost literally, because my name loosely translates to daybreak, dawn, sunrise. And because my desire for that palette has been going on for pretty much almost a full year now, and has persisted even after me seeing the palette in person, swatching the colors, trying to create some looks, etc., a decision that I've tentatively made for myself, and of course things could change, maybe I just won't want it a couple months from now, is that when I finish my undergraduate degree later this year, when I finish my last exam in December and I know I've passed and that I'm going to graduate in January, I want to buy for myself the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. And again, who knows, maybe by the time graduation arrives, I'll be like, I don't want that. I'd much rather blow like $80 to go to an amusement park or something with my friends. I don't know. But for now, because I tentatively have that as a goal, I was able to use that to stop myself from buying the Huda Beauty Neon Orange Obsessions palette. Because the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette has not one, but two yellows. So the conversation I ultimately had with myself to take the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions palette out of my cart was about delaying gratification. It was like I reassured myself that come hell or high water, by the end of 2020, I will get a yellow eyeshadow, possibly in the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. And because that is going to be an expensive palette and it's going to naturally already take up one of my 20 spots, why would I give up one of my other precious spots for what is essentially a dupe? And quite frankly, this sort of conversation around delaying gratification would not have been possible to even have before my no-buy year. This is really like my no-buy year training, like kicking into high gear, because that year of practice of not buying stuff allowed me to just genuinely pause before I made a rash decision. And on top of that, I think what has finally been revealed to me after my no-buy year is over is my philosophy around my makeup collection, so to speak. I want my makeup collection to be beautiful, but also functional. And for me personally, part of my definition of functional includes efficient. And when I say efficient, I don't just mean that like products that help me achieve looks quickly. I mean that I don't want there to be a lot of overlap. I don't want a bunch of products that are kind of doing the same thing over and over again, taking up valuable real estate, both physically in my makeup collection and mentally in my own head. It's almost like when I want to create a yellow eyeshadow look, I want to know where to look. And I want to essentially only have one place to look, instead of having 6 different places to look in my collection for yellow eyeshadow. Because for me personally, what I've realized is when I'm like, oh, I want to wear pink eyeshadow, I'm a lot more likely to actually wear pink eyeshadow if I am only faced with 2 options. If I have like 6 or 7 pink eyeshadows, I often get overwhelmed at the prospect of even making a choice. That is the paradox of choice. I get kind of frustrated at things that don't have distinct functions in my makeup collection. So if one item's function greatly overlaps another one, that's kind of annoying to me. And that's something that I found out during my no-buy year as I was kind of going through and decluttering things and examining my own makeup collection. And so it's a thing I'm now constantly reminding myself moving forward. Regarding the Fenty lip gloss, I talked myself out of it by reminding myself of 3 things. First, like I was talking about earlier in the video, I reminded myself that I was literally feeling really overwhelmed by the amount of lip stuff that I had. And then, because my brain was trying to shop, it was trying to like rationalize buying something, it was like, yeah, but those are lipsticks you were overwhelmed by. This is a lip gloss. They are not the same. Now, I definitely have a bunch of really good retorts for that line of reasoning or argument. Things like, okay, but Prachi, you have a bunch of lip glosses already. One of which is in fact a dark brown. Lip glosses also go bad much more quickly than lipsticks, so you want to make sure you don't have too many of them open at the same time, etc., etc. But instead of pursuing those lines of thought, what my rational brain actually did to talk my child brain out of buying the Fenty gloss was it changed tack, and it instead provided 2 different, better, more convincing reasons to placate that inner child and convince her that the Fenty Gloss Bomb in Hot Chocolate was not a good idea to buy. And those 2 arguments were as follows. 1, I have never swatched that Fenty Gloss Bomb in person, so I have no idea what it looks like on my own skin tone. And I have been burned by brown lip products before because they've been way too gray. What if the Fenty Gloss Bomb does that? Then I'm stuck with like a $20-some gloss that I don't even like to use. So I should wait until lockdown is over and I can go to Sephora and actually try out hot chocolate on my lips before pulling the trigger to buy it. Number 2, dark brown glosses that's kind of a fall look. In the summer, I'm more about like juicy, corally red lip glosses. So it's actually in my best interest to wait until September before even thinking about buying it, because that's gonna be the peak time to wear that lip gloss. And I find that this sort of reasoning is actually a lot more effective for me than the type of reasoning that's just like, you shouldn't buy it. I think the like inner child in me, and I think in all of us to a certain extent, when you tell that inner child that you shouldn't do something or you can't do something, I think there's an instinctive urge to kind of throw a tantrum and then want to do it anyway. Especially I think when we're in extenuating circumstances like we are right now, when life kind of feels like it's out of our control, when a large part of us just wants to be like, everything is so stressful, fuck it, I want a treat. I just want to not think about like the misery of everything going on right now. I just want to treat myself. I deserve this. And that, combined with the fact that when somebody tells me not to do something, I can't do something, I shouldn't do something, some dumb rebellious edgelord part of me just like immediately wants to do it. It means that I have to be smarter with how I argue with myself to not buy stuff. Man, I really should have outlined the points that I wanted to make, because then I would have mentioned this up front instead of having this epiphany now as I'm talking to you. But I guess the big point I'm trying to make, the thing that I kind of learned in April, is that there is a better way for me to convince myself to not buy stuff. And that is to stop engaging with arguments on the level of, you shouldn't buy this because you don't need this. If the rational part of my brain that's trying to talk me out of buying something instead assumes that I do need the thing, it is forced to then come up with much better arguments for not buying the thing than just, you shouldn't buy it because you don't need it. It's a tactical move that essentially forces the rational part of my brain to be a lot more creative, and I found for me that that ends up being a lot more effective. Because the irrational part of my brain, she can't really argue with the fact that the Fenty Gloss Bomb probably will look really bomb in the fall, and that I've been burned by gray tone lipsticks before, so I should just wait till I try it and then buy it in the fall. Who knows if by the time fall happens, I'll even want it anymore, but it's a good way for me to kind of temporarily shut down or delay the desire. And I find that that delaying of desire lasts a lot longer than when I'm just like, girl, you have too many lip glosses, you don't need it, don't buy it. I don't know if that's really helpful to anybody else, but it was one of the things that kind of made me exit out of the Sephora website multiple times during April. The other thing that I did is I tried to follow as much as I could the advice that I gave out last year during the fall Sephora VIB sale, which is that when a sale is happening, to try and remove myself from the world of the sale. I didn't watch anybody's Sephora hauls or recommendation lists or anything, and I actually tried to just watch fewer makeup videos in general. And the thing is, like, last year this was a lot easier to do because we weren't in lockdown. I could like go places and do things to take my mind off of makeup. The unique challenge of April was that I was just at home the entire time, and a lot of times I wanted to be in the world of makeup. And so instead what I did is I pulled out my own drawers of makeup and I went through all of my eyeshadows because I wanted an eyeshadow palette, and all of my lip products because I wanted lipsticks. The last thing that I did to occupy my time during the Sephora VIB sale is I registered for the LSAT. This is the time. I don't have classes, I don't have work, I'm stuck at home, I'm kind of going crazy at the lack of productive things to do, and my mood was kind of in a bit of a slump because of that, and I've realized like now is the perfect time for me to study for and write the LSAT. I made that decision at the beginning of the last week of the VIB sale, and since then my urge to buy makeup has actually severely gone down just because my mind isn't occupied by other things now. I don't know about y'all, but for me personally, it was worth it to actually ask myself, why am I buying makeup? Am I maybe trying to throw myself so heavily into the world of makeup and beauty because I'm trying to avoid things in my life right now? And while that's understandable on the pandemic sense, I'm trying to avoid thinking about like the Rona and all of the crises in the world, it was also true that I was kind of avoiding other messy stuff in my life. Things like, oh, when I'm going to graduate, finding a job after graduation, law school applications, writing the LSAT, whether or not I want to write the GRE and apply to grad school. These are all like big issues that I should have been thinking about and needed to have been thinking about. And I have been avoiding them and instead running into the world of makeup and skincare or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp under the, I hesitate to use the word excuse, of stress. And the reason why I hesitate to use the word excuse is because like the world is shitty and stressful right now, and I am genuinely stressed about everything that's going on outside, but I'm also know that I was not dealing with it in a healthy way, and that all I was really doing was putting off major life decisions that I had to make anyway. And funnily enough, I came up with that realization. I had that moment of clarity and epiphany at the exact moment at which I finished cutting my bangs at like 3:37 in the morning. And I've also gotten back into making videos regularly. That was one of the things that came into sharp relief as I was like cutting my bangs over my kitchen sink with a pair of craft scissors. I was reminded suddenly that I did actually have a creative outlet that I really enjoyed and that I could be focusing on when I'm not studying for the LSAT. So you will see regular uploads from me now, at least once a week. While my housemate isn't at home, I'm going to do my best to try and film out here with natural lighting, but the time of me only uploading like 2 videos a month, it's over now. I am back for realsies and feeling a lot more stable in what is kind of a very unstable world. So I've kept you for long enough. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing upcoming week. And even if the rest of your week ends up becoming messy or imperfect, I hope that you're still able to create and experience some truly beautiful moments. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves. Bye!